Welcome to Double Dose of Raw Talk podcast, your weekly dose of many discussions and opinions, a show where we get comfortable being uncomfortable. And remember, no topic is off limits. Now let's talk about it. And we're back. Y'all, something crazy just happened with this episode that I was recording. And so we're here again. Welcome back, guys, to another week and another episode on Double Dose of Raw Talk podcast. I'm your host, Miss D, and it's great to come back again. A little late to the party, but it's never too late. Because when we have shit to talk about, it's just never too late. So here we go. I had promised after episode 134, 135 have officially dropped that I wanted to be able to have some open space to have conversation with the listeners, including you listeners. And I put on my social media platforms open boxes for questions. One was definitely open without no anonymous type of an approach. The other one was for sure an anonymous approach. And so some pretty dope questions came to the table. And here we are. And so if you didn't notice the episode name, courtesy of my good friend Court, this is a QTNA questions that need answers episode. And I think I might be keeping this kind of like as a momentum, ever so often doing these type of episodes with you guys and releasing some information and some inside scoop. After a 400-day hiatus, if you know, that's definitely the theme here, with a whole new level of maturity and confidence and love, you have a lot to talk about. You have a lot to reveal and to share and to bring to the world. And so some pretty dope questions came through. I selected a few and we're going to talk about it. In the spirit though of what is to come next week, I already recorded the episode with a guest who is coming on board and is a returning guest at that. You guys are going to love it. We definitely talk about a pretty, I want to consider an intense topic to what life is today and a lot of what we're seeing on social media and the quote unquote real world of others who are public figures, celebrities, so on, but very true to what can essentially happen to the regular folks like me and you. And so one of those essentially the topic at hand is definitely tackled in one of the questions here today. And so, in the spirit of QTNA and the spirit of what else is to come, I want to just dive right in. One more thought, though, before I dive right in, I want to share with you all that as of today, you've officially heard for the very last time, unless some of y'all decide to vote otherwise, the original intro to the DDRT podcast. It has been a long time coming, I think. Everybody does vibe with it and love it. Nobody has ever complained on it, but I do think that with a whole new level of all sorts of shit, it's time to elevate that too. And we're entering this on a smooth ride, this comeback, and that's how I want to continue it. And so take it all in. But we're hitting off with a new intro on episode 137. New intro and outro, just saying. But let's dive right into these questions because we're gonna make this one not too long. We're gonna make it intentional with substance. And I don't just want to take up too much of your time with all my crazy answers. So there were several questions that came through. I kind of decided to combine a few of them with the purpose of being just very transparent and keeping it all the way real and all the way raw. There's a reason why I'm saying that. Stay tuned to the new segments. All the revealing is going to be next week. Question number one, though, QTNA, questions that need answers. Tell us, what has your experience been on the dating apps? Any new or potential interests? Great question. So I've already revealed that I've kind of had to really close out the dating app accounts because it was getting hella wild. And I gave it a shot. I did. Full transparency. Out of all the encounters I've had in meeting someone on the dating apps, only one I consider to be very successful, and it's someone who's still, I want to say, present in my life. I see this person ever so often, connect ever so often. He's probably been the only one, I want to say, that is a man of his word and is fully transparent on things, which is why we still kick it and we still vibe out. I want to say that the dating apps experience, I definitely touched on this a little bit in the previous episodes that I recently released, but I want to say it is it's a wild, wild world to be in and to participate in. Many years ago, you guys know I had like a little scary moment on the dating apps world. But even today, it's like you're still dealing with just some folks that are not really themselves, that hide behind the keyboard or the smartphone. Definitely put out there someone that they are totally not. Or unfortunately, we still have, no matter the age, some people who want to try and run game. And no matter how much you say, like, this is me, I'm very upfront, very direct, very transparent, very straightforward, not a lot of people know how to embrace that, nor do they know what to do with it. And so it's just gotten to the point where it's like, okay, I'm getting tired of this. And so I had to, you know, cut it off. And I definitely got off the apps. Personally, though, like if I had to say what's my preference with that, I would definitely say more of the in person, interactive, meeting people in real life approach. I have. I have. It has not been, too many of those instances, but I have for sure. It's been interesting. It's been entertaining, for lack of better wording. In some cases, enjoyable. I find it that it's very interesting for the simple fact that how you meet someone face to face and how you're getting to know them, who you believe, that first impression gives you, and then who they turn out to be. It's kind of like, what the fuck just happened? But then in also some cases, it's not that bad. They are who they say they are. They are men of their word, and I'm very big on that. I'm very big on men who keep it real. I'm very big on men who are honest, direct, and straightforward. You would be surprised. I mean, I want to speak for a good amount of women, but I'm definitely just going to speak for myself. And if some of y'all want to join this little, speech, join in, let me know. For some of us, we respect more the straightforwardness, the direct approach. We respect more the honesty. I have a very difficult time accepting or even respecting someone who is supposed to be a grown man, someone who is supposed to be of wisdom, respectable at that, especially if I see you in that light. And then it's just a whole slew and like a compiling incidents of games and inconsistencies and just things that are just not clicking with who you presented yourself to be. And so, 9 times out of 10, I will absolutely remove myself from that. And the reason why I say 9 times out of 10 is because it's that one time I will say, okay, Daisy, give somebody a little bit of grace. I'll be a little patient. Don't go rushing into, y'all know me. I grab the scissors and I just, I do that to people. And trying not to be that person anymore, but it's very difficult. It is. So lately, I want to say with potential interests that I have had, I've definitely given more than one chance just to see how things flow out. And it just gets to the point where once I reach that level of just, okay, my ability to tolerate this, again, y'all gonna love next week's episode. My ability to tolerate this, my ability to do this, because if you listen to the two previous episodes, I said my patience is wearing thin. So now it's a level of tolerance, because I understand people are not perfect. I understand everybody's gonna have their thing shit. I understand if some of these folks have had to tolerate my ass, and that's okay. But I just don't have the ability to tolerate too much bullshit. I do not have the ability to tolerate games. That's one thing I don't like. I do not like when people waste other people's times or play games with other people. That's just not the world we need to live in. So I can say that there are still some potential interests, one in particular. And I wouldn't say it's so much from a dating perspective. This person is definitely someone I've kind of dealt with for some time now. And so I think it's kind of like just, taking it, letting it take its course the way it needs to, which is okay. I'm all for a good time and a good vibe and a good flow. And sometimes you just need that. But it's also just having someone who you can lean into to have enjoyable moments with, to have a safe space with, to have a place of comfort and that it's safe. And I think that's where essentially my interests are now, where I once did open up to the dating apps. And I'm not entirely opposed to the whole concept of dating, but I am kind of like retracting, I think the word is, falling back a little bit into being more protective of my space and my time and my energy, and just being extra, extra, extra selective. Where I was already selective, but now it's just a whole new level of being selective. Because if I'm going to share anything of me with someone, it just has to be worth it at this point. And if it's not, then I completely just shut down and just completely remove myself. And, if I'm going to be honest and I'm going to keep it all the way real and all the way raw here, it's never my loss. I just don't know I know what other way to say this. It's never my loss. I am in a space where I know exactly who I am and what I have to offer. In fact, let me keep it all the way raw with y'all because, it's not me unless I keep it just this raw with you. It took a point where specific person where I started to question myself. And so when that starts to happen, when I start to question me, when I start to doubt me, when I start to think, am I the problem? And then it's like, no, bitch, you're not, because I hold myself accountable for things. I will sit there and like reflect and review every single thing. And I realize, no, it's not me. Like, truly have put it out there, like on this table, and have taken the note and like, because if one thing I'm gonna do is, besides holding myself accountable, I want to make sure that as I continue to move forward and move on, that I don't make the same mistakes where I am making mistakes. I don't want to continue in any type of behaviors that are not going to be beneficial for me or beneficial for somebody who I really have an interest in. And so, recently I've definitely been dealing a little bit with that. And that's definitely something that I'm in the process of breaking away from, because if I can't find the opportunity, let's say, of where I could learn from it, where I legitimately did not make a mistake or an error, or the issue is not me, then I'm essentially dealing with someone who doesn't know how to take accountability. And I'm dealing with someone who doesn't take responsibility for not meeting what I am asking for or what I am requiring. And so I have to entirely remove myself from that. Am I necessarily grabbing the scissor these days? No, I'm not. Because with a new level of maturity, confidence, and love, I'm trying to do things in a different approach, very mature, very adult, it's giving, I just turned 39 and I'm gonna be 40 this year. And so I'm, the woman I have continued to become and evolve into is very wise. And so I'm taking that approach now. And so I'm very proud of myself for that. But, it's definitely still me being selective, the extra selective, and being extra protective. And all I can say right now is I am so very open to the other new interests and potentials. And let me be clear on something. In the world of dating, nobody should put all their eggs in one basket. Okay. And so it is on us to leave our options open. It is on us to really see what else is out there, who else is out there. And yes, you could be a little sad about one thing not working out and then be excited the next day because the other one is. I mean, men do it, women do it, and this is what this world is essentially, right? And so, you know, with who is the new potentials, the new interests, I'm approaching it in a very open-minded way, very getting, very free, very understanding. And, hopefully there is things to share with these people. There's something there to share more meaningful, probably with one over the other, that will be more of an understanding for me to know where I want to really give my energy to and my focus to. I will say this, is that part of the goal now? Yes, part of the goal now is that I don't want to do this with too many or too many times. I want to be able to come to a point where I've met that person that I do want to share all of this with. And I wanted to be the person that I do need for me, because they are intended for me. I was not meaning to get too spiritual on this, but let me get fucking spiritual on this, because one thing I have shared on here is that I've definitely leaned a lot into my faith. And I've actually written a prayer about this. I have done this because this is what comes with wanting to make sure that you are protecting your peace. And I've definitely aligned this into prayer with what it is that I want in my life from a future partner. And notice and everything I've said, no, I'm not talking about like anything with love or no. There's just so much more to the fundamentals that I am looking for to be fulfilled and to be met. And so I've definitely aligned prayer into this in two ways. One, in who I am intended to become for that other person, and two, who this other person is intended to be for me. And so I'm not going to sit here and tell y'all the prayer because that's none of y'all business, but it is mine. And I just thought y'all should know I did that. And so if I could leave you guys with anything on this QTNA number one is that whether you like really believe in like highest power or not, whether you are more spiritual, whether you are more even universal, and you are finding yourself navigating the space of dating or navigating the space of being single and quote unquote mingling, as cliche as that may sound, but that's really what this is. And you're reaching that point where you're getting tired, leaning into a prayer or an affirmation for yourself, leaning into what it is that you want and speaking it into existence, a visualization, and say that to yourself every single day, along with what you want for yourself, and make that so intentional for you that you really believe it, that it's really what you want and it's really what you want to bring to the table. And that's what I'm going to leave you guys with QTNA number one. Number two, the question is, well, it's a statement and a question. I've been watching your stories. How is Marcus doing with senior year college applications? And how come you said motherhood has been a test? Oof, great question. So it kind of also ties into, you know, QTNA number one. QTNA number two has been a very pivotal point of my life, including that of my child, as my child is about to be a whole adult, 18. This is a transitional phase in his life where the adulthood is coming in. And so I have to guide this person and assist him with this change, yet I have to let him grow up and I have to let him go through all of his experiences. Why is it so wild? Because I am 39 years old and a bitch is still going through this transitional phase. In more areas of life than not, right? Than her in her life. And essentially and everything that I'm still going through, it does impact him in a sense, in a way, a little bit, at least as much. And so, you know, what I want him to learn during this entire process, taking in senior year, is for one, live the moment. You're only 17, 18 once in your life, just like every single year after that. This is such a year where you make the greatest memories. This is the year where you get to still be immature and while you're maturing. This is the year when you make drastic decisions and you do have to take it seriously, but be excited about it. And the reason why I'm so intentional with that with him, and I hope that this is the messaging I am giving him, is because everything in life, when life happens, as he continues to grow up and experience it, and as I can attest to the last 20 years. I left my home when I was 19. I'm 39. Is this There's always going to be tests. There's always going to be tests in life that is going to challenge you, who you are in that moment, what role you are playing, what position you're playing in your life in that moment, what life looks like, what the situation looks like, what that environment looks like in that moment. And then you have to prove it. You have to prove it to essentially yourself, not to the whole world. Fuck the whole world, essentially to yourself, how you're going to navigate that, how you're going to get through that, how you're going to stay up, chin up, chest out, be proud of your entire journey all the way so that you don't fall into real life shit like depression and sadness, so that you don't fall into really tough situations, kind of like some that I've shared on this platform in previous episodes. And so what I've been trying to do for him is, while we do need to take these college applications seriously, which as soon as I get off this shit, I have to go dive into this with him, right? Not applications for colleges, but applications for scholarships, is, let's not miss the moment where this is exciting and there's something so happy about this and positive about this to still enjoy, as serious as it is. I want him to be able to find that balance in life, something that took me forever to do. The reason why I have said motherhood has been a test for me is because one of the things I've come to realize is that parenting a little boy as a single mother looks very, very different in parenting a whole young man. He's a fantastic kid. He's an outstanding citizen, just like his mama. And I'm very proud of who he is. Listen, the truth is, I put my parents through shit. And so the kid definitely did not do that to me. But at the same token, I have to recognize that there's certain things I can't help him with. I have to recognize that as a woman, there's certain things that while he could look at me with eyes of a son who is admiring me as his queen, as his mama, as the strong, as badass. Like my son has told me, Mama, I don't want to disrespect you, nothing. I mean that's like in a positive way. Like you a bad bitch. Like hello, I know that, and it's an honor to hear my fucking kids say that to me, right? Don't get it twisted. We have a great relationship, mother and son, for him to be able to say that to me. And all of that is great, but at the same token, he has still needed that guidance and that role modeling of a man, of a father. And so while I have raised him with a whole village here for him to see what an amazing man looks like, I have my brothers who have stepped in, my brother-in-law who has stepped in, my dad who has stepped in since day 1. And all of that to say, because throughout the years, through ups and downs, essentially where we are today, his father lives in a different state. And I think he's done a great job in still being a present dad for him. But distance does impact, right? Marcus has throughout the years been surrounded by my closest, dearest friends' husbands to see what a good dad is, a present dad. Because unfortunately, obviously, because of distance, right, for reasons of that kind, he hasn't been able to see that entirely from his dad, right? And no shade. Listen, these are actually conversations I've had with his father. And so this is something that, where we are today, distance and all, as co-parents, I do believe we've done a very good job, essentially. But I also recognize that I've had to also lean into him and lean into his dad and ask for help. And so that's where it has been a little bit of a test to realize that even as a bad bitch, as a single mother, as that queen that you are, and you're so strong and just blah 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 blah. No, sometimes you do need to sit back and say, I need a break, and I need you to step in as a man, and I need you to just do this, just to have that conversation and to answer those questions and to provide that guidance that a young man is going to need in some of these instances. And so that's where it's a very keeping it raw, truly vulnerable moment. I recognize that not everybody has that opportunity. I am grateful today being able to sit here and recognize that I've had plenty of opportunities to do that. And I am grateful to that, grateful to those who have stepped in, including his father, and appreciative of that, because there were some times where it's like, bruh, I need a break. I'm fucking losing it. It's different. This is a young man. He's very respectful, but he is his own person. And it's been a little challenging. Also, his character is very much like me. And ask my parents. I'm not an easy cookie. I'm just not. Mm-mm. I'm not going to say there's something wrong with me, although some people might say that, but I am going to say I'm tough as fuck. And so there's a lot of me that I see in him. And I guess you could say that there was a little bit of a clash at some point, but we've come a long way. I do believe this is going to be a successful transition into adulthood. I do have a lot of faith in that too. I do think and believe that because he sees me and my evolution, I do believe he sees that as something that he can admire and say, that's something that I would want. And he does tend to look at things more positive than not, in that light, of, for one, as in positivity, but then also as motivating. And so I have high hopes in this, very high hopes. But it is an exciting time for me as a mother, and yeah, I just hit y'all with QTNA number 2. So in number 1, if you notice, we tackled womanhood, and number 2, we're tackling motherhood. Now let's go into QTNA number 3. This one goes very deep, and so one simple question could go so deep, but let's keep it all the way raw. Are you back on your weight loss journey? The answer is I never got off of it. You guys know I've said it here multiple times and on my social media. Oh, I want to go back on my weight loss journey. I want to balance this out. There was a point I lost so much weight, and then pandemic happened, and then a whole bunch of shit occurred, and then it's also my discipline was affected by this, and so I definitely gained significant amount of weight back, not all of it, but enough for me to know that this ain't cool. This is not what I want for me. And so with this comes a whole different topic, and we're about to get all the way raw here, like as raw as it can possibly get. I, in entering the new age and wisdom of my life, there have definitely been changes that come along that we don't realize, and we don't necessarily learn about this in school, or the doctors don't necessarily offer this information. Don't get it twisted. Nobody's in menopause and all that shit. But there is certain phases even before that, that as women, we do need to be aware of. And so for some of you gentlemen, if you got girlfriends, if you have wives, and you guys are eventually going to be in this age range, or you're already there, listen, I first and foremost, I want to just be so grateful and thankful for some of the most amazing people in my circle that I've been able to learn from and have so much coaching from in the past. And this is in part what has prepared me to know about a lot of these changes that I was experiencing. Um, Through my food and health coach, Naomi, and a good friend of mine, I still reference her because through her, I was able to learn so much about ingredients, and I was able to really take initiative in changing certain eating habits and changing certain things that I incorporate into my daily intake. Now, with that said, though, I could still do better. But most importantly, and recently, I've been able to learn about hormonal effects and imbalances and impact on women. And when I started learning about this, it was when she started putting a lot of this information out on her social media. And then boom, guess what? The light bulb went out. I was experiencing a lot of different things with my body. It was making it nearly impossible to go a day without a headache, to go a day without a migraine, to go a day without looking pale despite the makeup, feeling like pain, physical pain. And long story short, talking to the right doctor, a new doctor who is now my doctor, talking to the right healthcare professionals and learning a lot about this, I was able to address a lot of the symptoms that I was having and taking the right course of action in this. And so, ever since then, that and then aligning with my new career path, I have been in more mobility, more movement. I have more, I want to say, strength, different strength in my body. I do feel very much so back to normal, and I do feel very well balanced now. And so my hope is to finally be able to tap into refueling that discipline and that motivation to get into a whole balancing act of all these multiple schedules that I have, because the weight loss journey is one, the wellness journey is another, and one thing always impacts the other. It's never not, whether it's your wellness overall, physically, mentally, emotionally, or spiritually. And I needed, for me, where I am today, I needed to align all together, all four of those areas. I need it. Just, it has to. Because if one is off, it just, it's a domino effect to all the others. And I'm realizing now more and more, I can't have that. I need it to all be aligned and balanced. And so that's essentially what I'm working on right now. I am very proud of myself. Funny enough, this week that you guys are listening to it, I have my follow-up annual physical. And so there's going to be more conversation there with my doctor. I'm also learning, one of the most amazing things of this moment in my life is that I'm learning to have certain relevant conversations with my doctor. And I'm extremely excited about that, because what I've been used to is just, you walk into the doctor's office for your annual physical, you just check that everything is normal, run the blood work, and that's it, and you leave. And in the last several years, I've learned to take it from a different angle. And so my goal and my hope right now with this wellness journey, not just a weight loss journey, but a wellness journey, is that I'm going to continue educating myself and partnering and collaborating more with my physicians, with the guidance that I need and the support that I need, and being able to tap into all the knowledge I do have from my personal training with Rick. Shout out to Rick. My food and health coaching with Naomi. Shout out to Naomi. And now a new level of coaching, which I'll tap into at another time, a lot more deeper, because it's going to come. The topic is going to come. I've already revealed it in the previous episodes. I am embarking on a career coaching journey with someone who is just amazing. I'm so excited with it. I am actually in the middle right now of answering questions that she's asking, which is wild because the way it is making me tap into shit and reflect, it's just damn. I need either a coffee or a drink or something, but I'm trying not to overdo it. But it's very revealing. It's very challenging. It's interesting. It's it's something that I realize I need and I want with how I am trying to continue to evolve and grow and develop because there's always room for that. While I know I do believe I'm fucking perfect. I'm not, but I do believe that. Um there's always a way to be a better version of yourself. I do not want to deal with what I've dealt with in the past, which I shared in the previous episode, having to question myself under the imposter syndrome because of the environment I'm in. I allowed that to fuck with my mental, and I don't ever want to be in that space again. I want to be able to recognize where I do need the work and I want to work at it. And this is definitely one of those things that I need to do in what I believe to close the loop for me to be successful. So super excited for that. QTNA number 4. How is your family? Anything new with your siblings? I remember you mentioned there being an issue. Well, since we're keeping it raw, I want to say that the last, like before the 400-day hiatus, I definitely share that I was a little bit at odds with my siblings, two out of my three siblings. And since then, I did share that one of those two and we made amends. We did. There's definitely a new baby in the family, so that's always going to be a reason to bring people together and to be excited and happy and whatnot. It's the cutest fucking thing ever. But I do want to say with the one out of the three that I don't want to say we've made amends because we really haven't, but I do want to say that we, with the distance and the boundaries that are in place because they are still there, it's no more really seen as an issue, but more so understanding that the odds we're on is what works for us. And it's about respecting boundaries and respecting our differences and respecting that we are always going to agree to disagree. And that's okay because I do find it that as crazy as this may sound, I'm always going to be that sibling that whether I am presently fucking with you or not, whether I'm talking to you or not, nobody better ever fuck with you. And I've always said that and I still stand on that. I am also that sibling that is going to know how to coexist and be in the same place in the same space for the purpose of a new level of maturity, confidence, and love. We have a new little human that we all want to share time with and love with, and we adore him. And so nothing should ever stop us from being able to hand this little baby over to one another, whether we fuck with each other or not. Nothing should ever stop us from being able to share all those memories in the family group chat, regardless of how many differences we will have. And I'm okay with that. I wholeheartedly am. The other part that I'm realizing more and more with this, and I have no shame in saying this because people are gonna be like, well, what the fuck? That makes no sense. But it does. Because of these boundaries and because we don't do much of an exchange other than coexist and share space, there's been no fights. And that's the most peaceful I can ask for. When you just come to terms that just people, two people or three people are not going to get along, but can potentially always find themselves in the same spaces, it's okay to coexist respectfully. It's okay to be in presence of and not necessarily be a problem. And that can be peaceful too. And so, where I am today, if what that means is that we're not just ready yet, or maybe never to make amends, that's all right. It doesn't mean that I'm not going to defend that person when I need to, because I will. Don't get it twisted. It doesn't mean that I don't love that person anymore or any less than what I did before. It just means that now we're just clear for all this time that we're just never going to see eye to eye on certain things. and that's okay. There are some people that they are worth loving through differences and at a distance from afar, and that's okay too. But I will say this, my family is doing great. Everybody is still doing great. I'm very proud of just everyone with all what their evolution is and where everybody's going in life. I'm very proud of all my babies, all of Titi's babies. They're doing fantastic. I said I'm proud of my kid. My parents are doing great. My parents celebrated 50 years of marriage last year, and so they're still going pretty strong. So super proud of them. And I want to just say overall with the family that we do have, I am feeling pretty blessed. I don't expect anything to ever be perfect. I know individually, everybody always goes through things. I know for sure, as I shared in episode 135, whew, I had a really dark time. And I don't want to blame it on that, but I can align that a lot of what happened where we were at odds within the family was definitely a direct impact of how I was feeling individually and all the things I was going through. And so that's the thing where I don't want to find myself ever again being in such a dark space with what's going on in my life individually, where I'm not happy with work, or where I'm not happy with my current environment, or I'm not entirely taking care of my health overall, my wellness mentally, physically, spiritually, emotionally. In that moment, primarily that dark recent moment was with work where I was then, and that is going to impact me so much that is going to ruin my relationships, both current, very well cemented relationships and potential new ones of people who could potentially be fantastic for me and meant to be in my life. And I don't just mean, romantic. I mean just overall, all across the board. I don't ever want to be in that space. I want to be able to work so much through who I am and what I want and need from life for me, so that it doesn't impact and affect everything else around me that is meant for me. Oh, that was a little deep, but I hope that makes sense. All right. QTNA number 5, and this is the last one. All right. And the question is, what are you trying to accomplish for this year? I don't like the New Year's resolution shit. Well, guess what? Neither do I. In fact, if you've been here long enough, I've always said, like, the new year really begins on your birthday. It's not on January 1st, because we get to see a new trip around the sun. We get to live a whole new year in our truth, in our story, in our journeys. But in the spirit of accomplishing things in this year of 2025, and so I'm going to begin it from January 1st and where things are right now, but what my goals look like, because it is a beautiful thing to set those goals. I what I'm trying to accomplish is not just something so general as in growth. I want to accomplish a lot more success in my career. I want to accomplish seeing my kid cross that stage, getting his high school degree and seeing him successfully enter a new phase of his life. I want to accomplish healthy relationships. I want to accomplish a healthier lifestyle, and when I say a healthier lifestyle, I don't mean it just with weight roller coaster ups and downs. I really wholeheartedly mean just like overall wellness, a healthier lifestyle. I want to accomplish, I'm not gonna lie, in alliance to that, I have set some goals with weight loss. I have, because there are certain goals I do have with that. I had a very revealing conversation with one of my closest friends. Shout out to my boo Nicole. And it's it's us getting mirrors for ourselves. Y'all see that behind me? That's my mirror. I still stand in front of that. I don't know if you guys know the story. I used to keep it in my bedroom right next to my bed. I used to have posters on it and giving myself affirmations. We are beyond that because those affirmations haven't stopped. I know who the fuck I am. I love myself. That is without question. But now, in utilizing this mirror to visualize who I am today and who I want to see her be, to visualize the spiritual, the mental, the physical, the emotional, you got to see it, you got to face it. And so when I come out of my bedroom, which is right there, and that's straight right there, like I used to walk past it and sometimes I wouldn't even want to look because it used to be in, let's see, in that wall. No, ladies and gentlemen, now it's right there. It's right in front of the doorway. I have to look into it. I have to make the eye contact with me. And the reason why that's so important is because that's going to be the daily reminder for myself. Like, you got shit to achieve, you got shit to accomplish, you got goals, baby, that you have to reach. It's part of where I want to take this whole new level. It's part of where I want to take me and my success. And it's not just a New Year's resolution, because what I've come to realize is when you really want to accomplish it, it continues. It's not something you just check off and that's it. It's accomplished in 2025. So it's going to stay like that for the rest of my life. No, no, ma'am. No, sir. That's not how this works. Start looking at it from an angle of this is a never ending journey, a never ending goal. This is something I'm going to strive for every single year and then some. And you might even put a new level to it. That's okay. But you're going to keep striving for that. You want to keep achieving. What's the next level on that? And the one after that. And then maybe the year after that, I'm going to take it to the other level. But this is all part of what my goals is. And this is where I want to take it to. And this is how far I want to reach them and achieve them. And that's essentially how I'm looking at this when I'm thinking of what am I trying to accomplish. So for sure, one of the things I definitely want to reveal is the career coaching. I'm extremely excited for that. I'm looking forward to it. My hope is in the long run to have her join this platform to have a pretty dope conversation, to be able to share how impactful that is. I've definitely had my personal trainer Rick on this platform, and I've had Naomi on this platform too, my food and health coach. And they're actually two people I want to bring back on the show. They have accomplished so much, but also because I want to be able to share with them once I do see that progress happening throughout this year and what's going to be cemented and implemented in the foundation of what's going to be the rest of my life. I want them to know that and to share that moment with me and to know about that progress. So there's other things I'm doing in the spirit of that, and to be able to get to that. Think of it like as prerequisite goals. Like one of the things I finally give into, y'all, I don't wear watches. I don't. I've never liked them really. When I've gone through the phases of wearing them, it's more for like the fashion. And then I just got over it. I was like, this isn't for me. Well, your girl's honey decided I'm going to get an Apple Watch because I realized just how positively impactful that has been for my kid, for one, because I got him one. It has been totally successful for him because he is someone who, in what he's trying to pursue for the rest of his life, and very much so aligns with overall wellness and health and sports. If you know me and you know my kid, you know I'm a sports mom. So what I realize is I'm realizing how that could be used so beneficial to some of those physical goals that I am setting for myself. And so I'm going to do it. It's the prereq goal to the bigger goal because I want to make sure I am keeping this body in movement. I want to make sure I'm keeping this body healthier. I want to make sure I am checking in with this body like real quick. It's so easy to do that. I'm realizing that more and more. And the reason why I want to do this is because your girl turns, God willing, and may he bless me, oof, your girl's going to turn 40 this year. Like, what a beautiful age to even look forward to. Also, your girl's going to be in a lot of bathing suits this year because several of us are turning 40 and we got goals to go celebrate under the sun. And we just want to be so free with it. We want to not just feel good and look good, but we want to make this long term. We want to make this accomplishment and this feeling to be healthy. And when I say we, I mean that. I mean that with my chest because sometimes, and most of the time, and maybe all of the time, it does require for you. And I've said this before in many episodes, and I will say it again. Surround yourself with like minded people, surround yourself with people who share common goals with you. Not all of them, but a lot of them. And this is one of those areas I definitely want to keep the momentum going with the people around me. And lucky for me, several of us do share this goal. So I'm excited for a lot of this that I am hoping to accomplish this year because the approach I'm taking it is that it's going to be long term, is that it's going to be forever. The purpose is not just for this year. It's beginning this year. How about that? And that is the last QTNA number 5. Those are the questions I did select just overall I thought would be very fundamental to the conversation. I am super excited, as always, to be back with you guys and to be able to keep it all the way raw and all the way real with y'all. Your girl's doing things. Your girl's making things happen. Do not let this be the only episode. If y'all want to talk to your girl more and have questions, let me know. If you like this type of episode, we could always bring it back. We can always, bring, I don't know, QTNA part 2. I don't know what we would call it, but we could definitely call it that. And, make it a thing, and share more and share more on the progress. How about that? Maybe I could do that. And I hope you guys like this. And I think it was great. Shout out to all of you who definitely sent me those questions. So dope of you guys to be able to be this nosy, because if you know me, you know I'm a nosy ass bitch. And I've always said that I'm nosy as fuck. I have no shame in this. And I'm all for sharing all the good news, all the good stuff. Or what was it that I used to call it? The juicy conversation and the friendly debates. As I always say, debate your mama. But this is me. This is me. This is where we are. And I'm excited for you guys to tune back in next week and to listen to that episode and to listen to that juicy conversation. And most importantly, to find out what the new segment is going to be and listen to the new intro and outro. And as always, guys, this has been another week and another episode on Double Dose of Raw Talk podcast. I am your host, Misty, and you guys will tune in next week. Bye. Don't forget to follow us on Instagram, and we are live on your favorite podcast streaming platform. Make sure to tell a friend, to subscribe, rate, and review. Talk to you later. Bye.